The type of stitching that we're going to be learning is called an even count peyote stitch. Now this is a 1-drop peyote stitch. You can do 2 drops or even 3 drops, and I'll go over that lightly, but this video is more or less just about a 1-drop peyote stitch. The type of cording that I'm using is a size D Nemo cord, item number BC905. This is in a red color so that you can see it a little bit better on the video. The 2 types of seed beads that I'll be using are both white and black 6/0 seed beads, the white being EB6113, the black EB698. Begin by threading on a stopper bead, and this can be either color that you decide, onto your cording, leaving about a 4 to 6 inch long tail, depending upon whether or not you want to wrap it around your finger to keep your stitching a bit tighter as you're working. Thread on an even number of seed beads in the same color that your stop bead is. So I have, and this is included with my stop bead, 14 seed beads on my cording. To make an even count 1-drop peyote stitch, pick up one of your seed beads, and for this video I'm picking up my seed bead in an alternate color. You'll skip the first seed bead on your base stitch and go through the second. So what you see here is the beginning of the second row for my even count peyote stitch. Go in and out, leapfrogging over every other seed bead here on the base stitch with this alternate color seed bead. When you're done with that, I'll show you how to make the turn and then go back through, and this will tighten up all of your seed beads on the second row. So this is what your peyote stitch will look like after going through your first or your base row. In peyote stitching, an interesting thing to note is that now you essentially have 3 rows. This one right here on the bottom, 2 is the one in the middle, and 3 is the white seed bead. So keep this in mind whenever you're following designs, that when they're talking about 3 rows, 5 rows, 7 rows, and so on, they're really talking about all the rows that you've strung on and the rows that were created in between these rows. You've come back out of your stop bead up here at the top. Thread on another bead and then continue with your peyote stitch back down from left to right. So this is what your next row of peyote stitching looks like. And what I've done is when I came back through my stop bead, I threaded on another seed bead, this time in that same color as my base stitch, and then I went through this white seed bead, threaded on another black seed bead, went through the white. So really what you're doing is you're making, for the most part, a straight line through this other row, but because these beads are staggered, these beads in between each of the white seed beads will rise up a little bit more, causing an indentation between each one of them. That's exactly what you want. This is a 1-drop peyote stitch. Now quickly, let me show you what it means to have a 2-drop or even a 3-drop peyote stitch. To do your 2-drop peyote stitch, add 2 more to your base stitch than what you did on your 1-drop peyote stitch. I used 14 on my 1-drop peyote stitch, so for a 2-drop peyote stitch, I'm going to add 2, and now my base stitch consists of 16 of these 6/0 seed beads. 2-drop peyote stitch is different from 1-drop peyote stitch. In 1-drop peyote stitch, you would only leapfrog over one seed bead and then stitch through the next. In 2-drop, you're going to leapfrog over 2 seed beads and then stitch through the next 2 seed beads. Let me show you how this works. I've leapfrog over the 2 and then go through the adjacent 2 to that. Pull nice and tight, and what you're left with is the beginning to the next row of your 2-drop peyote stitch. Continue this all the way down the length of your base stitch. This is what it's going to look like after stitching all of your alternate seed beads onto your base row. Your cording now is coming out of your stop bead, and just like before when you were doing the 1-drop peyote stitch, you're going to pick up 2 more of your seed beads, and so now I'm going to go back to using the black seed bead color, and I'm going to go then through the 2 white seed beads right here in this row. Now just like the 1-drop peyote stitch, you now have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, that are stitched on to your peyote stitch. So keep that in mind when you're following any of your designs or directions. Just like before with our 1-drop peyote stitch, our 2-drop peyote stitch will work the exact same way when adding that 3rd row. I flipped my work around so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is where we came out in the previous segment. These are the 2 seed beads that I stitched on, and then I went through these 2 white seed beads. So for the most part, threading through in a straight line, but because, like before, these seed beads are staggered, this will raise some of your seed beads, these black seed beads, up a bit, leaving an indentation between the white and the black seed beads. This is all that you need to learn for a 2-drop peyote stitch. Continue stitching back and forth, left to right, right to left, until you have the amount that you need for your necklace, bracelet, purse strap, belt, anything else that you can think of that you can use a peyote stitch for. So, following this pattern, a 3-drop peyote stitch would have 3 of these white seed beads, and you'd be leaping over 3 of the base seed beads. Any type of peyote stitch will give you a nice, tight, secure stitch like what you see right here. This is a good one to know, to learn, and to use when it comes to bead stitching.